How are we doing, guys? We are back again with the opposition preview. It is a big one. It is a big one this weekend. It's Pep Guardiola versus Marcelo Bielsa. Round 5, I think it is. Round 5. But a lovely positive way to start, just before we start with anything. You can tell we're playing City because that's a really, really positive way to start.
I know, yeah.
How many goals are we losing by then, lads? Oh, dear me. What a positive way to start.
I just want to know, when you mentioned there, Oscar, about Bielsa being... What's the record in that?
We won't go there, mate. We won't go there, to be fair. Don't think he's beaten him. I don't think he's beaten him, to be fair. Should have done that research, shouldn't I, to be honest? But he hasn't beaten him. He hasn't beaten him as far as I'm aware. But yeah, obviously we're joined by Nick and Tom, both City fans, both Yorkshire-based City fans. We'll go with that. Yorkshire-based City fans. How are we doing, fellas?
Very good, pal. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. All good.
Definitely got that Yorkshire twang, haven't they? I love it.
Runners.
Living in Yorkshire and your team could win the quadruple. I mean, can life get much better than that, to be fair?
We don't talk about the quadruple. And that's the first rule of the quadruple club, is we don't talk about the quadruple. Isn't that right?
Every game at a time. Every game at a time.
Yeah, we sound like Pep now, don't we? Yeah. Every game at a time. Leeds next.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's mad, isn't it? Because, come on. I mean, final Carabao Cup, semi-final at FA Cup. Look like you're through in the Champions League. I know it's still early days, but I'd still back his, being 2-1 up. And you've already won the league, so shout it from the rooftops, man. It's happening, isn't it?
Do you know, it'd be great, because I've got a feeling that, I don't know, certainly some of the news recently about the change in the Champions League, potentially in a couple of years' time, where we may not have a League Cup anymore. So it'd be great to do the quadruple and potentially be the only team to have ever done it and will ever be able to do it if that's the case with the change of format to the Champions League that's been proposed. Do you know what? One trophy's great, and to be honest with you, and I'll lay my cards out on the table, and I'll probably speak for a lot of City fans. The league is the most important thing, and I know we've got this thing about, they've got to win the Champions League to be a truly great side. It doesn't bother me that much. I'll be honest. I'll go to the Champions League matches. I enjoy the Champions League. I enjoy it as a competition. But with it being a knockout competition, I don't think it's a great barometer of how good you are as a side. I think winning the Premier League is, and it'll always be number one for me anyway.
Is that the same for you, Tom, or is it? Look, I just want to get this Champions League off our back, because once you've won it, regardless of if it's under Pep or anyone really is, once you've won it, and you can say, we're champions of Europe. You get that star above your badge, etc.
I think I'm the same as everybody, the majority of City fans, to be fair, and the same as Nick. It's the Premier League first. Win the English trophies, win the biggest one in your country, and then focus on what's after that. Because you look at the season. It's 38 games home and away. You're putting more effort and more fight as a team to get the Premier League. And it feels more rewarding at the end of it. Obviously, well, we never won the Champions League, so I can't say how it'll feel. Yeah, just people don't give us the memes in the comments. But yeah, I'd love to see us win it this season. If there was a season we did it, that we've got the defence sorted. Sergio's last season, it'd be a great way for him to go out. Obviously, being the last of the beginners, as we like to say, because he's the last one of the Mancini era. But yeah, it'd be great to see maybe if we can get this quadruple. But yeah, one game at a time, and it's you guys on Saturday at 12:30 to start it off.
Do you know what I'm loving? I'm just watching Tom speak. Yeah, it's great to hear another Yorkshireman's voice, but it's the flat cap as well. That's what's brilliant.
It's the famous. Anybody on Man City Fan TV. It's the famous hat. Like, I wore it once as a joke because my trim was that bad, and ever since I've worn it, so it's become a famous piece of equipment for the shows.
All that's missing is.
I didn't get the nod on the dress code. I put my flat cap on.
Nice. I love it. Oscar's back with us now anyway.
I am back. But look, I'm kind of hoping, Nick, that obviously you've got other priorities in the league. You're going to tell me now, and I'm hoping you're going to tell me that you're going to rest. Gundogan's going to get a rest. De Bruyne's going to get a rest. Silva's going to get a rest. Mahrez might get a rest. You're just going to rest your whole 11. That's what you're going to tell me now, please. That's what you're going to tell me.
I don't know. I mean, last week was maybe a bit of a nod to what he might do in between these Champions League games. He played. I would never ever say a weakened side because it never is with Pep. But he played a 4-4-2 really against. I can't remember who we played last week now. Who did we play last week, Tom?
Leicester.
That's it, Leicester. Yeah, he played a 4-4-2. He played both Aguero and Jesus up top. But I think that was a tactical thing. I don't think I wouldn't think he's going to play that side against Leeds because I think he's become. He's had a bigger tactical nous across this season, and I think it's been the introduction of his new right hand man. I think that's given him a bit of a nod, and I think rather than playing a very typical 4-3-3 or a typical City side every game, I think you've seen a different side to Pep where he's picking the sides that are for that game. So I wouldn't expect him to rest too many, to be honest, against Leeds. He will have his eye on the Borussia game, but I don't expect too many changes from Tuesday's lineup. To be honest with you, against Leeds, I think he will go with a forward rather than false nine, and I think Sterling will play. I think Mahrez will play as well. So I think you probably have Jesus, Sterling, Mahrez up top. And then it'll be a pick of whoever he wants in the midfield, I guess. But he will rest some. But I think he'll put out a relatively strong side because I think he's got a lot of respect for Bielsa and knows how dangerous Leeds can be. That first game back in September, I thought Leeds were phenomenal. When you look at the stats as well, to be honest with you, I watched the game with a good mate of mine who's a Leeds fan, and I was surprised with how good Leeds were, and surprisingly they had the majority of the possession in that game. So I think Leeds do play a way that I think scares Guardiola a little bit. So I would suspect that he'll put a strong side out.
I love the way you said a relatively strong team. You didn't even be like Mahrez and Sterling and that lot. I'm thinking that's pretty strong. That's probably strong enough. But look, it's a difference. Yeah. It's a difference in quality, isn't it? Yeah.
Mahrez is a bit Marmite with City fans, so just be careful when you mention Mahrez because some City fans really like him, some don't like him at all. So it's a bit of a Marmite thing, really, with Mahrez. You don't know what you're going to get with him. Game from
you get
game.
Leeds' team. That's probably probably I'd say, to be fair, Nick. He'd probably get in Leeds' team. That's the difference in quality. I mean, the only thing I look at from this City team, Tom, is whoever plays at left back. I remember the last time you played Mendy at left back, and Ibrahim came on in the second half. Obviously, formerly of City, came on in the second half. Probably had his best game in a Leeds shirt by a mile in that sort of second half. Absolutely. I think he caused Mendy that many problems. Mendy came off with 20 minutes to go. And I think Cancelo came on. Might be wrong on that. And it's going to be... I don't know, Chris, you get Mahrez and Rafinha in the same team. You find a way. You'd find a way, mate. Anyway, that's slightly off topic. But who's going to play left back, do you think, on Saturday, Tom? Because that's the only way I see us possibly causing you any problems if you play someone like Mendy at left back and we get Rafinha running at him.
Well, I'm a massive fan of Joao Cancelo ever since he's come into the club. Everybody says I love the guy. And what's that?
Oscar's alarm's going off. He's ready.
I thought I were hearing things then. Everybody knows I'm a massive fan of Joao Cancelo. I got a letter from him and signed for Christmas and stuff because I did some charity work last year. So, but I think, everybody's laughing about me now. I think Benjamin will play. I think based on this, we're trying to rest as many players as possible. It's coming to the big end of the season. Like you said earlier, Joe, we're still in all 4 competitions and, when you're still in all 4 competitions, we've only just got Nathan Ake back in, which is good news. So we've got a fully fit squad, everybody. There was 6 changes on Tuesday night to the game on Saturday. Edison, Diaz, Walker, De Bruyne, and Rodri were the only ones that stayed in. So it shows you, the catalyst of the team, and I think it'll be something similar. And I think Mendy will be the one that plays. He played well last Saturday. The thing with Mendy is if he carries on playing like he did last week, he'll still have a position here, because at the moment, as it stands, I think he'll be out in the summer. There's a lot of talk on, what's going to happen with him. But I think he's going to prove himself. And I think, maybe if he comes in against you guys on Saturday, it's another good side to come up against, some good attacking players. It can put him to the test, because he did cope with Jamie Vardy quite well on last Saturday, so it'd be interesting to see what he can do against you guys, that's for sure. So yeah, I think he'll be Benjamin Mendy. Yeah,
I think, Oscar, for me, like the positive thing that I took from the Dortmund game, like you said, for me, it's left back where we can get at them, and the fact that João Cancelo played midweek made me think it's either going to be Zinchenko or Mendy, and I would favour either of them over João Cancelo the season that João Cancelo's had, I think the only frustrating thing from a Leeds perspective is it's highly unlikely that we're going to get to see Rafinha going at them because Jack can't play because he's on loan. My thought process is Rafinha goes to the left and we bring in Costa on the right, and there's just a definite drop-off in quality there between Costa and Rafinha, and I'd love nothing more than seeing Rafinha run at Mendy for 90 minutes, but I just don't think we're going to get that. I don't know what you think, Oscar.
I agree, to be honest. I'm hoping, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but it probably is the best word for it. I'm hoping City go with Walker and Mendy at full-back, to be honest. I think they're not bad players, don't get me wrong. They're not bad players at all, but they're probably the only two. I think certainly from the last game, the home game, where you can kind of get at them a little bit. I think certainly Mendy, but Walker as well, I thought was quite poor at Ellen Road earlier in the season. And that was against Alioski, who played left wing that day. And I thought Alioski did a decent job. But look at this City team. I was saying they might go a bit weaker at the back. There's still... Laporte is obviously the third centre-back, and he's world-class, in my opinion. This is the mad thing. You're thinking, and he's not even getting regular game time. This is like the quality that City have. But I think even if you go for a completely different back four, completely different midfield, it's still going to be a lot of quality in that team. No doubt about it. I mean, do you think possibly, Nick, that Fernandinho might even come in for this game? Obviously, he's played now and again.
I think the problem we had midweek, I think we struggled a little bit with some of the possession play that was going on. Borussia, I think that Dortmund had more possession than I think was anticipated by Pep. I think he's going to trust him for midweek, and I think he'll go with Rodri in the midfield. The difficulty here is, I think, between Rodri and Fernandinho, they are two slightly different players. Rodri's not as, and he's a lot younger. He's not as mobile as Fernandinho, and he's not. And Fernandinho has an extra yard in his brain, so I think that he'll keep him for midweek. I expect Rodri to play in that holding midfielder position.
Most underrated player in the league over the last couple of years for me, Fernandinho, in terms of what he's done in that City.
He is, yeah.
I mean, the work he has to do on his own. Yeah. He is kind of like, sounds crazy. He's your Calvin to an extent. That's
definitely. He's 35. He's 35 years old, and he can still beat most midfielders to the ball. And as I say, when you get to that age, I mean, David Silva was very similar. If you've got that extra yard in your brain, I think, to win the ball and to do some of the nasty stuff. And when I say nasty, I don't mean the fouls, but the tactical fouls. He's the king of those tactical fouls. And I think up against European opposition, that's what we need. We need that. We need somebody to be able to take those fouls when they're on the break. So I imagine Rodri will play. I think it's a good shout on the left back, though. I think. I think Mendy is to be got at, and for certain. I think if Cancelo plays there, I think you would have a really tough. You'd have a tough afternoon, Rafinha, if that's who you think is going to be playing on that side. You'd have a tough afternoon because he drifts all over the place. Mendy's very much your traditional left back. He sticks to that byline, doesn't really deviate from there. And if he does come in the middle of the field, that's where he tends to lose the ball. So I think you're right on the left back. I think that's where you might have some joy if he does play. But we have seen him play in a back five more often than a back four, so where he'll have that additional cover. But I don't expect City to play three centre backs on Saturday. I don't expect that.
Okay. I mean, Tom, the crazy thing is how much City have improved since we last played you. Because obviously, when we last played you, I think me and Joe did a video afterwards and saying there's no chance they're going to win the title over Liverpool. At the time, that's what we were saying, there's no chance of bridging that gap. We did, Joe. Come on, mate. We did do it.
I don't think that was me, mate. I don't think
probably
that was
mostly
me.
me, to be fair. It probably was mostly me. I was saying no chance. It's laughable that people are saying City can win the league and all this lot. But what's changed, mate? What's changed, do you think, Tom? Obviously, you've kind of done it without a recognised centre forward for large spells of the season. I mean, what do you put it down to?
A lot of it's having a leader back in the squad. Last season, we were the first season without Vinny. It was a big miss. We didn't bring in another centre back. We knew, a lot of you ask any City fan, they knew last season would be a different one without a leader. Because we've had the legends go, Zaba, Yaya, and we've still had Vinny there to sort of keep it. And last season, we couldn't find anybody. And obviously, Ruben Dias has come in this season and he has changed it massively. And I believe, with him and obviously the partnership he's grown with John Stones at the back, that sort of kept the confidence going. When we went to Liverpool and beat them 4-1 away, we didn't have Aguero, we didn't have Kevin De Bruyne. Gundogan, we were relying on the players who, wouldn't expect to change games like Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, and it made the players who weren't, expected to, show this world-class performance to step up to this next level. And that's what's sort of been, brought into this philosophy. And the teamwork through the team has just changed massively. You can tell the difference. And I think it's the confidence and the fact they've gone back to being a team rather than individuals. Because last season we saw quite a lot of mistakes from certain players. And it just seems like they've forgotten about it. And the results at the start of the season was like, this needs to change. And from that point, it's just been, we've been going up and up. And, I think they've realised, look what we've got here. And we just need to show our potential. And it's turned into a great season where we've won 27 of our last 28 games. United are the only team to beat us, sadly, which is obviously the worst part, the worst possible team to do it. But yeah, we've shown true guts to come back. People were writing us off after that 5-2 defeat at Leicester, and we've shown that we can do it.
Okay, very very fair point. Fair point. Certainly from what I've seen of City. I mean, for me, Nick, when I've been watching City this season, Gundogan has just been watching him and De Bruyne in midfield together is just absolutely both really effective, but just absolutely brilliant to watch. In terms of probably the two the best players to watch in the whole league, to be honest. Certainly Gundogan at the minute. Yeah,
I think last season he was given a bit of a role to babysit Rodri to a certain extent. Rodri was obviously his first season at City. Took him a while to really settle in. Big shoes to fill in Fernandinho. And I think he was playing a bit of a pivot role alongside Rodri for large parts of last season. Now, Rodri, again, he's had a lot of stick from City fans. Certainly the City fans I sit with, they felt that he was a bit slow, a bit cumbersome, had mistakes in him. But I think he's really come out of his shell this year, and he's certainly a better player than he was last season. And I think that's allowed a little bit of freedom for Gundogan to almost be another number 8 up there, and support Kevin De Bruyne in that work, in being that playmaking work that we know he's great at. And to be honest with you, when Kevin had his usual spell out with injury, because he's such an explosive player, he does get injuries. I think Gundogan took that mantle on, and as you can see, I think he's scored about 14 or 15 goals this season, and he's been phenomenal. It's been absolutely brilliant. And I don't think he's improved. I think he's always been that good. I just think that because he's been playing further up the pitch, he's always been a player that's been trusted by Pep. Certainly in European games, he's pretty much he's played pretty much every game in Europe.
Do you think Silva leaving's benefited him almost? David Silva leaving's benefited.
I think so.
Sort of helps him shine a little bit more.
I think so. I think the different players, though, I think they are very different players. I think Silva was one of the best players that has played in the Premier League without doubt. And I do say that as a City fan, but he has been absolutely phenomenal. But he on the flip side, he didn't score as many as we would have wanted him to score. He scored a lot for Spain, but he didn't. I don't think he scored as many as he could have at City. And I think they are different players, and I think the way that we play with Sterling a lot on the left, I think he benefits from Gundogan. I don't think he played as well alongside Silva on the left hand side. So I think that we definitely see people are seeing how good he is, but I've always thought that Gundogan's he's been a world class player all along. He's just not played in a position where you see all the plaudits for scoring and those types of things. So he'd be my first pick in the midfield anyway. Kevin De Bruyne aside, I would pick him ahead of Kevin every day because I think he has everything that you need in a midfielder. He's defensively really sound. He's good in those tight spots, which when we're playing against 9 defenders in some games, that's what you need. You need somebody that can unlock, pick that lock really. So
I'm delighted you said that, Nick, because whenever I dare to say Gundogan has been better than De Bruyne this season, I got attacked to be fair. So I'm glad that a City fan said that. To be fair,
I was liking it to a film. Your headline star gets all the plaudits, because they do all the Hollywood passes and all the things that look amazing, and then you got your supporting actor, and I think that's the way I've always looked at Gundogan, and when you compare him to De Bruyne, and you will get that. You've probably got guys at your club that perhaps don't get the plaudits because they're not doing the things at the end, the end of the goal, if you like. But I've always rated him. I've always rated Gundogan from and he actually bought Gundogan when he was injured. He dislocated his knee, and he bought him injured. So that and he was Pep's first buy. So that tells you everything you need to know about Gundogan and why he was important to Pep and the way that Pep sets his sides out.
Do you reckon he'll get play? Do you reckon he'll get Player of the Year this year?
We don't often get Players of the Year at City. It's I think Kevin was the first one we've had since the 1960s. So it's not often City get Players of the Year. It'll probably go to a Liverpool player, won't it? Or
I'm sensing a little bit of
there's a little bit of bitterness there, isn't there? Definitely. It'll probably go to Bruno Fernandes, won't it? But I think
no, it won't be. Don't say it's going to be Bruno Fernandes.
It probably will be though.
They can't give it to him. You've got De Bruyne and Gundogan. You can't give it to someone.
I'd give it Gundogan. I would give it
penalty merchant.
Tongue in cheek. What happened? The way I think why some City fans are a bit bitter about Liverpool players was when we won the domestic quadruple. Sorry, when we won the domestic quad. Kevin De Bruyne was head and shoulders the best player in the league, probably the best player in Europe that season. He was absolutely amazing. And who did they give it to? I think they gave it to Henderson. At Liverpool or someone like that, and it was just bizarre because I think he hadn't done anything. It was just a bit of a so we don't have I personally don't have a great relationship with the Player of the Year thing.
Am I right in saying as well, and I don't know if I've imagined this, but I'm sure I've seen it, that Aguero's never been in the team of the season either.
Nope, he's never been in it. Never.
It's insane, that, isn't it? It is.
No,
Yeah, I remember seeing it. It's insane, that.
Never been in it. Vincent Kompany was only in it once as well.
Wow.
David Silva's only made it once.
Yeah.
So.
Who's getting in instead of him? That's what I want to know.
You tell me, Oscar. You tell me.
He won the league. Was it 4 times in the last 7 years? And Aguero's never been. I never knew that.
Never.
I
They've
couldn't
won the
believe
full
it.
league
I read it.
4 times in 7 years, and there's not even.
Yeah.
That's mad. That
I think the season where one season he bagged 28 goals, and I think he was, he was behind Kane, which was fair enough. But yeah, he didn't even get a sniff. I can't remember who got in ahead of him. I think it might have been Vardy, possibly. Who got in ahead of him because I think Leicester won the league that year.
It's insane. It is insane. I remember reading it, thinking, really, wow, that's mad. But just on Aguero, just a quick question, Tom.
Yeah.
Like, I really like him. I think he goes down as one of the Premier League greats. I want to ask you guys about the statue stuff and that, because I've seen a lot of City fans getting stick from the Big Six, but for me, history's got to start somewhere, and for me, build that bloody statue. He's been an absolute great. But would it be, for me, and I'm not even a City fan, when he leaves City, I want him to go away from the Premier League. I don't want him to stay in the Premier League because I think it sours it a little bit. What's your thoughts on it, Tommy? Say if he rocked up at a Chelsea.
It's difficult because he's you can guarantee any City fan will say he's in the top 3 of the best City players of all time, or especially since the takeover, because obviously there's been some good players people have said in the past, but it'll be difficult if he does go to another club. I can imagine it'll be probably like Frank Lampard when he came to us for Chelsea, something like that. If he does go to the likes of Chelsea or something, then he's still going to go for that Premier League record for the all-time goals. So we'd still back him. He can do what he wants. He's given us 10 years, and it's a pattern at the moment. Kevin's just signed, obviously, the contract extension, and that will mean his stay will be exactly 10 years if he leaves when the contract. So it's sort of a thing that they try and build in. So obviously the 10 years. If he stays at a big club, then happy days. But I'd rather it be abroad, if that makes sense, because you want him to leave his legacy of a Premier League best all-time Premier League player as just being a Man City player for how much he's done for us. He's our all-time leading goal scorer. He's given us by far the best moment of my life with that Aguero goal. But we had Zabaleta. He went to West Ham. And things like that.
It's not the same, though, is it? If he rocks up at Chelsea,
and
he wins a trophy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I'd love to see him stay at the top flight of football. Like the top, the top levels. Maybe go to somewhere in Italy or something. But I can see him going to somewhere like Chelsea. I just can. I can see it happening. But as long as he doesn't go to a team in red.
Yeah, I was going to say, right, can you imagine a welcome to Manchester sign with Aguero in red instead of the Tevez one?
I don't think he'd ever do it. But I'd still, even if anything like that happened, I'd cry. But I wouldn't. I just enjoy the last 10 years and forget about anything else. But it was a sad moment when he said he was leaving. But you probably, obviously, you won't watch every game of City, but he's not had an impact this season at all. We were at 1-1 the other night against Dortmund, and he brings on Jesus instead of Aguero. That just shows you where he is in the pecking order now. Sadly, it's not what we want to see, because you don't want any of your legends to go out on a like a soft run, but it's what it's going to be, which is why I think he's leaving this season, because there was rumours he wanted to say goodbye to the fans and everything. But when you've set your legacy so high, like David Silva did, and like he's done, you don't want to have another season where you've got another injury and stuff like that, because it just that's what overturns the greatness, because people remember the poorer stuff rather than the good stuff, really.
Yeah, definitely. What are your thoughts, Nick, just on the statue and the stick that's been given? I think it's madness. It's like, for me, my head is out. What do you want to City to do? Just pick someone because they were in the 1950s and scored a couple of goals but had really no significance. It's pointless, isn't it? You know, build that statue, and in 30 years' time, Tom's kid, he'll be able to explain to his kids, this was Aguero Silver Company, and this is what they did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. All it bears down to is just jealousy. That's all. You know, I don't care. I don't particularly care what other fans think of City.
Yeah.
You know, I've had enough stick over the years. You know, I've been going since 1981. I've seen a lot of you know, really bad games. Recently, I've been spoilt rotten.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care. It's, you know, I don't care what other fans think. It's, you know, for me, like you say, it's about what it means to City fans. And I think, you know, it used to be 10 years, you get a testimonial, you get a nice little payoff, or something would happen with your charity. I think we're in different times now. It's not possible for us to have a testimonial, but I do think we need something that's a lasting legacy. I mean, we'll never forget Aguero. We can't do. I mean, it's impossible because he's etched in the history, along with Vincent Kompany, along with David Silva, along with Yaya Toure. And, you know, the last 10 years, we've more or less had our own way across the Premier League, across all the cups, maybe not so much the FA Cup. And I think, you know, that's an era that, you know, I mean, you know, what would you say if they said, oh, you best pull that statue of Billy Bremner down? Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous, you know. And when I go to Ellen Road, you know, and to be honest with you, I go ordinarily when we haven't got lockdown. I normally go once or twice because it's a ground that's local to me anyway. Best mate's a Leeds fan. He'll drag me there, and I'll go and watch. You know, and I look forward to seeing that statue because I think it tells you something about that club's history. So I'm not bothered about what other fans think, really, unless they think it's a nice gesture, and I think it is.
Do you think, Nick, when you go for them one or two games, if you got the luxury to go when under Bielsa, do you go there to see some decent football for a change?
I do, well, to be honest, it's been an annual pilgrimage because I normally go out with my mate. We have a proper night out in Leeds, but before that, we'll go to the football. And last season, I managed to go to a game. I think you won 2-0. And I could see the difference in that season to the previous season where you know, it was, I don't know if you've got a term that's typical Leeds, but it was very, you know, it was a very typical Championship side where last season when I saw Leeds, the season before under Bielsa, it was clear that they were playing Premier League football, and they were playing really attractive football. You had a guy that knew what he was doing. You know, it's clearly got you know, footballing brain, and I know how much he's admired by the likes of Pep and managers like that. So I think it was clear that, you know, there was a way that he wanted you to play, and you know, we have seen that in the Premier League, and sometimes it's not always been the most appropriate way to play, but in other games it has been. And I think, you know, he's adapted over the season, I think, and with the players that you've got, the squad that you've got, you know, he hasn't got a Rich Pickens in a massive squad like Pep has. But there have been some really good standout, you know, games that you've played. Certainly the game against us, you were outstanding. You were outstanding at Liverpool at the very start of the season as well. So, you know, I think you're in a good place, definitely.
Yeah. Best game I think by far, I'd say I've seen this season was Leeds City. I know we've had like the Liverpool game, we've had other thrilling games, but that one, there was something in that second half.
It was a chess game. It was a chess game.
Crazy. that second half. I remember, like, in terms of the watch along when we were doing it. I mean, it's just like, I think we were both saying to each other, Joe, when's this game going to just slow down? It's just like I couldn't keep up. Honestly. It was crazy. I think Edison, some of the saves he made in that game in the second half, the one off Rodrigo, I was thinking, you know, he made a bit of a mistake for our goal, but it was just a crazy, crazy game of football. And I'm
convinced that if fans are in that stadium, we win that game.
Yeah, I think so.
I am.
I do actually.
We dragged that ball into the net, man. Edison made some key saves, I think. And I just think, atmosphere, Ellen Road. Yeah, I think we'd have.
You're very close to the players anyway because it's traditional ground. It's not a bowl like the Etihad is, and it's I can imagine. I suppose for some of your away games as well, you would have perhaps pulled some results out of the bag in your away games, and it's for me it's been such a shame because as I say, my best mate's a Leeds fan. He's been waiting years for this season to come about, and it's been robbed from him being able to go and
so
enjoy those games.
This game, especially City away, I think, and obviously Liverpool away, obviously that other team in Manchester away, but this one as well was quite high up the list because I quite like City away. I remember going last time we played during the FA Cup under Neil Warnock. I think there's 10,000 Leeds fans, I think, there that day, and so I just remember doing like what's it you call it, the Poznan and all that.
Yeah,
it was a bit of,
and then you did the shoes off if you ate Man U.
Shoes off if you ate Man U.
I remember that one.
It was good. It's always good. It's always good banter in that lot, and just gutted, obviously Bielsa versus Pep. Hopefully we get it next season. In terms of those two, they stick around in the Premier League, and it'd be good to get that back next season. I'm hoping that'll be early doors, to be honest. Maybe not first game back. First game back, to be fair. But as long as it's better than last time went there. So watching Tom Lees try and stop Sergio Aguero was not great. I think Tevez played that game as well. He absolutely battered us anyway. That was all I remember from that game. One player I do want to talk about is Phil Foden. Obviously, at the minute, all the talk is about... I've heard a lot of City fans say this. A lot of the talk is about Haaland versus Mbappe. Is Foden starting to get into kind of that kind of conversation in terms of young players at this moment in time for you, Nick? Or has he still got a little bit of a way to go in terms of talent?
I think naturally he's the most talented footballer in the world. I think he's got a natural talent, and I think he's playing with some brilliant players. I think he's come on leaps and bounds, and I think Pep's been right to hold him back. This season, we've seen a lot more of him. We've seen him in different positions as well. I think Pep's trying to find his best position for him, and I think he's on the way of keeping that left wing berth, if you like, because I think he probably needs to bulk up a little bit. So sometimes you'll see him get knocked off the ball a little bit, which is natural because he's still maturing. But I think he's up there in the top 5 young players in the world at the moment. I think without doubt. And this talk about what would England do with him, etc., etc. I'd rather he didn't play for England, to be honest, because English fans being English fans, as soon as he has a bad game, they'll absolutely destroy him. And they destroyed him when he had his misdemeanor after the very first England game, where he got caught with a couple of ladies in his hotel room or whatever happened, and he got pelters. Do you think that maybe in a weird way kind of helped him a little bit in terms of? Might have done, a little bit. He could have done, So I think he's got the world at his feet, and I think he's with the right manager to be able to manage that because in the past, Pep managed Messi when he was that age. He managed him in the B team and then obviously in the Barcelona team. So he knows what he's doing with these young players. And I think, as long as he can keep him grounded. I mean, midweek he was getting a bit frustrated with his finishing it a little bit. Yeah. And I think he's always a bit cautious to give him too much praise as well. But I think, I like how he's been managed at the moment. I don't think playing him every game is, it'll burn him out because. He's already played quite a substantial amount of times, and he's not even 21 yet. Apparently, his 21st birthday would be after the Champions League final, so that'll be some celebration if we get there.
So he could win. How many trophies could he win before the age of 21, though? In theory,
I think he's got about 9 medals up to now.
Yeah.
I think he's got 9 medals up to now. Yeah.
That is pretty mad. I mean, that's crazy. Before the age of 21 as well. I'm trying to think what I was doing at 21. Makes me feel sick, that, to be honest, a little bit.
I don't want to know what you were doing at that age, Oscar, mate.
Yeah. No, I don't mean it like that. Oh, Joe. You don't have to drop it in like that. Like, you got something to be ashamed of. Blimey. This is a good question. I like this question, Tom. I mean, Jack Harrison. I don't know him so well now, but I did know actually a person who works as a translator at City. And he said that Jack Harrison, a couple of years ago, the plan with him was to turn him into a left back at the time for City. There was a bit of talk about that. Obviously, he came to us. He's played predominantly on the left wing and that lot. I mean, how do you feel? I don't know if you've seen much of him, Tom. Do you think there's ever a way he gets into that City team, or do you think it's just is it for him at City?
Well, what we like to do is we like to bring in players who we think have got potential, lure them out to clubs who we have, decent relationships with transfer-wise. We've obviously given you Piveda, and obviously Jack Harrison's done a very, very good job for you guys over the past few years. Personally, I don't see him getting into our squad based on the depth of it. I think it'd be a wrong move for him if he did, finish his loan move with you guys and come back to us, because I think he'd be a little bit like Patrick Roberts was. He sort of came back, sort of trusted the system, was at Celtic flying high, and then sort of trusted City in a way, and then obviously nothing's come of it, sadly for him. So I think the reputation he's got with you guys, you all love him from what I hear, from what I see him do. When I do get to watch a few games, he does bring a different aspect to your team. He can, hit a shot from a distance. That's for sure. He's got a few of them in the past for you, and I believe that he can come a very, very good, talented player for you guys. So I think he will probably, obviously this summer, probably make it permanently a permanent move to you guys, because he's got everything there. He's got the fan base who love him. He's playing first team football. He's got a manager who respects him, and he's playing week in, week out. So, all the best to him, because, he's obviously attracted, interest from City in the first place to even get a look in and a move. So, yeah, we wish anybody well, as long as they, try hard and, they play some good football. So, yeah, I think the best decision for him is to obviously, I think, get a permanent move to Leeds.
Yeah,
I think what sums up your quality is the players that haven't even got in the squad at City. Like, you had the likes of Jadon Sancho there, Eric Garcia's obviously moving on and all that. Like, I'm thinking, these lads can't even get in the squad at City. I think it's just insane.
But Jack Harrison deal's already signed, sealed, delivered, isn't it?
Yeah, but I want to have a bit of conversation, Joe. I
know, but I'm just for those that don't know, like, we've got Mega King Richard here who says Cooper's the worst thing since sliced bread, and he's now saying Jack Harrison is poor, we can do better. Mega King Richard is always so far off the Richter scale, it's unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah. He loves it. Jack Harrison's quality, man. Jack Harrison is quality, and at the end of the day, I think the deal is 10. I think Chris has put 11, but it might be 10 or 11. But we could have made it permo in the summer just gone. Yeah. But due to FFP or whatever, we moved it to the following summer. But 10 million for a player of his quality. I think the big thing is with Leeds now as well. They'll look at resale value, and they could come a stage where Jack Harrison could move on. He's just gone from strength to strength season after season. So, to pick up a player of his quality for 10, 11 million is peanuts, really, isn't it, for someone of that quality for me?
I think it's a bargain.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute bargain. But, I think he came through New York City, did Jack?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I think he went out there first and learned to play there. I'm like Tom. I can't see him ever playing for City, and it's not going to happen, is it? Because you've got first refusal on him, and I think if you don't buy him, somebody else will come in and pay more for him. So I think you've got to snap City's hand off on that one.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's push because we're going to finish one a little bit earlier, because I'm going to be on Tom's channel in about 15 minutes, guys. We are going to finish one a little bit earlier, but let's go for some predictions. I'd rather not, to be honest. I'd rather
there he is. There he is. I thought he was that worried about putting a score prediction. He was just going to go off. Just quickly, though, Oscar, before we do, just quickly. Boys, is there anyone you look at from a Leeds United perspective that worries you at all? Tom first.
Well, obviously, Harrison, but he's obviously not allowed to play. I think Rafinha is a quality player. I think you've got a diamond there. I think he's a great player. Calvin Phillips, he sort of had a 50-50 game against us last time. He got Kevin run rings around him in the first half, but the second half he turned into, the Yorkshire Perlo, as you like to call him. You could actually see why you call him that. But yeah, there's a few, and then obviously Meslier can pull off some good saves at points too. So just if we can consistent with our chances. But yeah, there's a few players in that team that you obviously are going to be worried about. Is Patrick Bamford injured for this, or is he back?
No,
is he back?
He's fit.
Oh yeah. He's another one who can turn up and have a great game. But then I bet you guys can agree he's had some poor games this season too, where it's like, what's happened? But yeah,
Tom, Ruben Diaz and John Stones will be struggling to sleep.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. This big test over the past few months for Ruben and John have been playing against top players up front. Kane, Son, Mane, Salah, Jamie Vardy, and they've kept every single one of them quiet. I consider Patrick Bamford in, a top-notch striker. He's obviously possibly gets a call up for England if he continues his form. So, he's a person, he's a player we have to worry about because, if he turns up and, can cause some problems, then who knows? But yeah, there's a few players definitely.
Nice. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Tom. I think Rafinha's a quality player. I think he's one of those players that most sides would like to have. In that he can do things that are different. He's less direct than some players. Like Calvin Phillips, for example. I think I don't know. I get the sentiment that Bamford gets a lot of pelters, but I quite like him. I quite like him. I think he's that focal centre forward. He's probably not as flexible or quick as some centre forwards, but he certainly seems to be able to finish a lot of the opportunities he has. So I think he might give Stones a little bit of a game.
I hope so, mate. I hope so. Right, Oscar, I'll let you do your score predictions, buddy.
Oh, do we have to? Do you want me on this one? Do you want me on this one?
Go on then, give it.
I'm going to go for an absolutely crazy. I don't want to do this, but 4-2 City I'm going to go for, if I'm being totally honest. Maybe 4-3. I'm going to go for an absolute similar game to the Liverpool one at the start of the season, if I'm being honest. So I'm just hoping it's not one where we're like 2 or 3 down after half an hour. That's all I'm hoping for. Let's just keep ourselves in this game for as long as we can. I don't know. What are you saying, Nick?
I think it's going to be a tough game for City. I think a slight win for City. I think 2-1 City.
2-1, nice. I'm going to go the other way because I always back a Leeds United win. So, yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds. I say it through gritted teeth, but it is what it is. I'm always going to back Leeds. I have to.
Yeah.
And why can't we pull off a result, man? It is what it is. We're safe. We're sitting pretty. Nothing to lose. I'd argue, and I know this might sound a bit daft, but I'd argue we'll see more clear-cut chances in this game than we did against Sheffield United and Fulham. Just because City are going to be so gung-ho, we're going to be so gung-ho, there's going to be a lot of chances. And if Leeds United can be clinical, then why can't we win the game? So I'm going to go for 2-1 Leeds, and I'll let Tom crush us now with a 4-0 winner. So.
No, you're not fine. No. Fair play for backing Leeds. It's what you have to do, innit? But for me, depending on what the team gets put out, if we play, it obviously all depends on what he chooses, and you can never guarantee what Pep puts out. But I think we're going to get the job done, and I'd like to see 3-0. If it is a 4-3 though, it'd be like a defeat for those defenders because letting 3 goals in is a very, they achieved to try and keep a clean sheet more than they score goals this season. So as long as we keep the clean sheet and we can get the win, then we'll take it. Yeah. But with much respect of, we don't want to, stuff you too hard, obviously.
Listen, Tom, Virgil van Dijk was supposedly going to pocket Patrick Bamford.
Yeah.
Van Dijk. He is on absolute strings in that game. And I don't know if you'd agree with that, Joe. I thought, look at Liverpool had this fantastic defence, and they absolutely ran rings around them. To be fair,
we did. Yeah, and I'm really excited. Look, we've got a run of City, Liverpool, Man United, so April is just an amazing run of games for us, and it starts on Saturday. And what a team to come up against. I think for me, it's a barometer of where we're at, because this month really shows us we know we can beat the lesser teams. I think we've got 27 out of a possible 30 against teams in the bottom half. Sorry. So for me now, it's a real barometer of where we actually are. Because if we get some positive results over the next 3, then I genuinely believe with a few additions in the summer, up the table and European football, man, I'm that confident with Bielsa in charge. But it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. But yeah, man, we're going to win. We're going to win.
We'll be fine. Who's Kevin De Bruyne at the end?
Yeah, exactly. Who's KDB? Calvin pocketed him after that initial 15 minutes in that first game.
He's different gravy now, though, Joe. He is. He was just a little bit off.
Yeah. I know Calvin will be up for it because he said in an interview, I look at their best player and I think, you're not beating me. And I remember him saying in an interview, the most one he was looking forward to coming up against was KDB. We got overawed by the occasion in that first 15 minutes, got absolutely run ragged. But then when we got, at pieces with it, we were all right. And I think having had the experience of playing in the Premier League now, there'll be none of that like, oh God, we're playing City. They'll be, ready to go. I even think we got a bit of that at that place across the Pennines, to be honest, if I'm honest, because I remember Calvin were going, oh yeah, it's big, innit? Yeah, and that did my head in a little bit. I know he was like, oh, it's such a big stadium. Like they were overawed by the occasion, man, and then Man United steamrolled us. But I think this time around it's different. It's different because they've got that experience now. Calvin's played for England now, so we'll be up for it, man. And if that don't make you Leeds fan confident, then I don't know what will. 2-1 Leeds United. Come on.
Guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be on Tom's channel in just over 5 minutes. Check out Man City Fan TV.
Go straight over, guys.
Check him out. And big thanks to Nick as well. Big thanks to you, man.
Thank you, Nick, who rescued us.
You're welcome. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. So, good luck on Saturday. You're going to need it.
And I'll play that tune. Right, we'll see you later, guys. See you tomorrow. Big match preview before the whistle blows. It's all out tomorrow. See you later.